Every day, we learn new things about our world. New fossils are unearthed. New stories come to light that change our perception of history or science. Over the years, scientists have found many things preserved in ice in the frozen tundras of the world. Many of them are woolly creatures, but some others are truly bizarre and boggle the mind. There are some mysterious, creepy, and even incredible things to be found trapped in ice, and because of global warming, we're rediscovering a lot of them. Welcome to another episode of Forever Green. Today, we're going to look at the 10 most mysterious, bizarre, and creepiest things found trapped in ice. And make sure you stick around for number 1 to see the most mysterious 100 million year old mountain range. Number 10. Mammoth Brains. Yep, we're coming in strong, right at number 10. One of the weirder things discovered in ice is the brains of a woolly mammoth. The mummified carcass of the 39,000-year-old woolly mammoth was found in 2010 in Russia and included a well-preserved brain. This is one of the only species of mammoth found so well preserved. The mummy mammoth was put into ice storage 93 miles away from the site, but it has moved around quite a bit since then. It is now on display in Moscow. Latest studies show the mammoth was only a child, about 6 to 9 years old. This short life cycle is probably why they found it in the first place. It likely fell to its death immediately. They were able to find the cerebellum, located at the back of the brain, and even see the white and gray matter of the cerebellum. The forebrain was in relatively poor condition. When they drilled into the animal's skull, they saw that there were still remains of soft tissue. While this is the first intact mammoth brain, it definitely isn't the first Ice Age mammal to be uncovered. 2 female woolly mammoths were uncovered in 2007 and 2009. Comparing the two, scientists found differences in their skeletal structure, which can mean evolutionary change. Number 9. The Otzi Man. The Otzi Man, also called the Iceman, is said to be one of the most famous humans to have been found in ice. He's about 5,300 years old, and interestingly, a genetic ancestor to many people in Austria. This well-preserved body was recovered from the Ötztal Alps, between Austria and Italy, hence his name. He is Europe's oldest known natural human mummy, and has offered an insight into the Copper Age. Here's something cool. Scientists have also found a total of 61 tattoos on his body. That's right, this is probably the earliest evidence we have of tattoos. At first, scientists believed it had a spiritual meaning or cultural value, but they later found it had a medical purpose. We have told you some pretty amazing facts, but some less amazing facts are that the Otzi Man had acquired a number of diseases, parasitic worms, and had hardened arteries. Among everything he suffered from, the most painful were gallbladder stones, osteochondrosis, and a joint disorder, and 60 of his tattoos mark the areas where he had the most amount of physical deterioration. It's a rare insight into understanding the reasons for tattooing in the Copper Age. He also had an arrow in his shoulder when found, and it seems he died from a blow to the skull. I wonder who he pissed off. Number 8. Bloody Falls. Suffice to say, we have no idea what's going on in Antarctica. We hear of some expeditions, some labs set up, researchers talk about it, but quite honestly, there's a lot we don't know about an entire continent sitting in the South Pole. One of the weird things in this place is the blood-red stream that flows from the Blood Falls Glacier. No, it's not really blood, it's just iron-rich water. It's the same element that gives Mars its red color. Located in Antarctica's McMurdo Dry Valleys, the falls pour from Taylor Glacier. The liquid bubbles up from fissures in the glacier's surface. Scientists were unsure of where the iron came from for a long time, but imaging from underneath the glacier revealed a complex network of subglacial rivers and a lake filled with brine high in iron. This makeup also explains why the water doesn't freeze but flows. It looks demonic, but in actuality, it's just a result of geology, oceanography, and good old glaciology. Number 7. Children of Lulialaco. Yeah, this one isn't interesting as much as it is disturbing. In 1999, 3 mummies were found in the summit of Lulialaco, a stratovolcano on the Argentina-Chile border. One is the body of a teenage girl, and the other 2 are children, believed to be around ages 6 and 7. The children were sacrificed in an Inca religious ceremony, which is believed to have taken place in the year 1500. These children, called Children of Luliaco, could have been chosen for sacrifice based on their beauty, or if their parents had offered them up. It was usually done to ensure a rich harvest. Under biochemical analysis, the teenager's hair yielded a record of what she ate and drank in the last 2 years of her life. It seems these children were selected a year before their sacrifice. Their hair showed traces of coca and alcohol, most likely given to induce altered states associated with the sacred. It probably worked on a practical level too, to sedate the young children before placing them 5 feet underground and leaving them to die. The freezing temperatures and dry air is likely what helped preserve their bodies so well. That's pretty grim. You know what? Let's look at something cool now. Number 6. A 25-million-year-old lake with life. In 2012, Russian scientists drilled into more than 2 miles of ice in the frozen landscape of Antarctica, and they found a lake. Lake Vostok is the continent's biggest subglacial lake. And yes, we know it sounds like something that shouldn't exist. How did it not freeze over? What's weirder is that the scientists found alien life. Or at least something like it. They found bacteria completely unlike the kind we're familiar with. But some have said it's because the drilling fluid tainted the specimens. The same team went back in 2015 to drill again. And the scientific world still wasn't convinced there was anything odd about the bacteria. What did they want for proof? A plague? They found another mysterious bacteria and still weren't done. I guess they really did want a plague. So they went back in 2016. They found another lake buried under the Antarctic ice sheet. Similarly, isolated like the Lake Vostok and with potential to harbor life. Yeah, nothing good can come from this. Let's keep those things buried in ice. Number 5. Siberian Ice Maiden. Also called the Princess of Ukok, the Siberian Ice Maiden is a mummy of a woman from the 5th century BC and was discovered in 1993 on the Ukok Plateau, close to the border of China. The locals call the area Second Layer of Heaven. The maiden was representative of the Pazira culture, which thrived between the 6th and 2nd centuries BC. The remains were found undisturbed in a subterranean burial chamber, and she was moved to a museum shortly after. After some studies, researchers have said she was 20 to 30 years old when she died, and have suggested breast cancer combined with injuries from a fall as likely reasons for her death. But here's something interesting. They found tattoos on her too. The princess had tattoos covering her arms, representing mythological animals like deer and panthers. They found the remains of 2 warriors not far from her, and they too had matching symbols. It is possible that these tattoos are a sign of status, not just in our world, but in the afterworld too. Number 4. Frozen Ice Age Puppies. Hunters searching for mammoth tusks were drawn to the riverbank when they saw an Ice Age puppy snout poking out from under the permafrost. Its skin, fur, and internal organs were all intact, so it was taken and kept preserved in Russia's northeast region of Yakutia. This find helped scientists understand and reshape their idea of Ice Age canines and the origin of domesticated dogs. Scientists dated the animal to be around 12,460 years old, and preliminary studies hinted that these puppies had been butchered and burnt, which could point to human intervention. In one of the puppy's stomach, they found twigs and grass, so they probably weren't strictly carnivores. Or they started eating grass when they began to starve. Of course, there is a lot left to uncover about these pups, but finding something as rare and delicate as Ice Age pups is an achievement in itself. Number 3. Frozen bear and cub. Scientists in Russia found this 39,000-year-old cave bear and its cub in a wall of ice, perfectly preserved. Up until now, only bones of cave bears were ever found. The permafrost is said to have kept their tissue soft and intact through the years, and scientists are optimistic about finding the DNA of the extinct animal. Could it be a contender for de-extinction? We don't know yet. Cave bears were a prehistoric species commonly found in Eurasia about 300,000 to 15,000 years ago. Finding a whole bear carcass so well preserved, with all the internal organs in place, is definitely a stroke of luck. Now, before we take a look at number 2, let's check out today's subscriber pick. If you find a mysterious photo online and want us to look into it, send it over and we'll investigate. Today's photo was sent in by a subscriber. seems like a gigantic ape. We scoured the internet for news reports on a finding similar to this, but the largest animals trapped in ice uncovered by scientists is a mammoth, and that definitely isn't one. Sorry buddy, that photo isn't real. And no, the mammoth isn't actually the largest thing ever uncovered. No, the largest thing ever uncovered was number 2, a 10,000-foot mountain range. Antarctica might have seemed pretty boring. Probably only up until you heard about the Blood Falls. Still, the ice sheets that cover much of the land make the place look cold and flat. But buried beneath a mile of ice is an entire 100-million-year-old mountain range. In the early 2000s, researchers spent time flying over the range, covering around 74,000 miles with a ground-penetrating radar, to collect data and map the mountains. They say the range looks like the Alps, and might be made of a billion-year-old rock that lifted into peaks between 250 and 100 million years ago. To put that in perspective, that's when dinosaurs were still roaming the planet. Given its age, it should resemble the Appalachians because of erosion. But these look as young as ever. Its erosion stopped once the ice sheets in the continent got large enough. No one has yet laid eyes on the mountain. The deep valleys and steep ridges are still very much covered by ice. But should Antarctica ever melt, the Gambertiv Mountains, as they were named, would be the highest peaks in the continent. Before we check out the most interesting thing ever found trapped in ice, we want to issue you a challenge. In the next 5 seconds, subscribe to the Forever Green channel and click the bell icon to be notified every time we upload a new video, and you'll instantly get that phone call you've been waiting for. You know the one. Go on, it works! Alright, let's look at number 1. Ancient bacteria. There are some forms of bacteria trapped in ice that aren't harmful to us. But there are others that are downright deadly. Sometimes they're in the bodies of dead animals, like in the case of these reindeer. In 2016, thanks to global warming, the carcass of a decades-old reindeer started to thaw. This led to the immediate deaths of 1,200 reindeer nearby, and passing of the infection to 15,000 villagers in the area. Other times, the bacteria survives and thrives, all on its own. These carry diseases, ones we have not developed an immunity to because they are so ancient. This means as the globe gets hotter, more ice will melt, causing these diseases that have been trapped for centuries to be released into the world again. That's a good enough reason to worry about climate change, I think. That's it for the top 10 most mysterious things found in ice.